Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
Foi lá onde nasce o samba, onde a lua mora.
Picture this, an ice-cold caipirinha made for you on the sandy shores of a tropical beach. The only sounds are those of the waves lapping against the shore and the ice of your cocktail being expertly shaken by a caipirinha master. But where in the world does such a paradise exist? Welcome to Salvador da Bahia. In Bahia, you feel you're deep in the heart of Brazil. If you get lost along the way, just follow the rhythmic drumming of the street bands. This is Salvador da Bahia, a city of 4 million people, first capital of Brazil, and a springboard for everything Afro-Brazilian, spicy, and totally uninhibited. Here, you'll find yourself surrounded by sensual men and women who all move to the heartbeat of this city. It sounds like drums beating, and it feels like the strong African influence that has shaped the Brazilian culture, the style, the music.
It's really amazing to be in Salvador for Carnival. It just has like a very different atmosphere to Rio. So many people parading right now around the old centre. A lot of drums. So great to see the Bahian drumming. Very much, there's a lot of influence from Africa.
Here in Salvador, they've got a music genre which is called acarajé, and it's like a samba reggae, which is very typical of Carnival. It's a fusion of Afro-Caribbean genres like reggae and calypso with more traditional Brazilian music. I really like it, and you're going to hear those African rhythms when you come to Carnival here. For example, the use of percussion instruments. I feel like it gives it a more spiritual vibe. It's important to know that of over 12 million enslaved Africans forcibly put onto ships bound for the Americas and the Caribbean, almost half were brought to Brazil, 1.5 million of them ending up here in Bahia. Pelourinho was the original colonial centre and nucleus for an extensive system of sugar plantations and the slave trade which fueled them, helping to make Portugal one of the wealthiest empires in the world. Pelourinho, or Pelo, as it's known to the locals, takes its name from the wooden whipping posts erected in the main square. With the outlawing of slavery in 1835, Pelourinho gradually fell into disrepair. In the 50s and 60s, artists, musicians, and other Bohemian types began to move into the abandoned neighbourhood, breathing life and a cultural vibrancy into Pelourinho which still lingers today. Pelourinho has centuries of history, and you really feel that when you walk around here, especially because of all of the colonial architecture. And, you know, this was really the capital of Salvador. There was a huge slave market here. There were sugar plantations around. It was really the center of commerce and the center of Salvador, the city. It is really where it all began for Brazil. Perhaps the most significant church in Pelourinho is the Church of Our Lady of the Rosary of Black people. So this was actually built by hands of slaves in the 1700s. So it holds a very special significance for Afro-Brazilians in Salvador. And even to this day, when Mass takes place, you'll see very much that the Candomblé faith, which is incredibly strong in Salvador, in this real blend of Catholicism and West African religion. So during Mass, not only will you see the kind of traditional Catholic praying, but you also have Bahian and African drumming and dancing. It's absolutely stunning church. Você como se chama?
Carlos, novamente.
Carlos.
Nome do rei Charles, não esqueça.
E você é baiano?
Sim, moro aqui no Pelourinho.
Você é do Salvador?
Salvador, Pelourinho.
Pelourinho mesmo?
Eu vivo aqui, trabalho aqui.
E você toca?
Não, eu não sei nem bater palmas. Eu faço cenários.
Ah, cenário.
Faço cenografia.
Você gosta de morar aqui no Salvador?
Eu não conseguiria viver onde não tem praia.
Óbvio, né? Porque é muito tropical.
Qualquer
ali.
lugar, mesmo que tenha, tem que ter praia.
Tem que ter praia.
Pra pelo menos olhar.
E bom tempo, né?
Acorda pela manhã, vou no elevador Lacerda, vejo o mar, tudo isso.
Você gosta desse bar do Carlos?
Mas eu moro aqui, eu gosto de todo bar aqui.
Cara, é muito
Se você
bar,
passar uma semana, vai me ver em todo bar.
É domingo, hoje é dia de
Todo
relaxar.
dia, eu trabalho todo dia, eu como todo dia, eu bebo todo dia. Pra mim tá bom. Eu já tô no lucro. Eu tenho 66 anos, a gente faz assim, depois desce. Depois dos 50, faz assim, né?
Não, mas se você mora aqui, eu acho que você vai ser mais jovem por mais tempo. Porque tem praia, tem sol.
Enquanto eu puder ter tempo para ser legal com as pessoas, eu quero. Eu sou filho de família muito pobre, mas minha mãe diz assim sempre: trate as pessoas do jeito que você quer que ela lhe trate.
Certo, né?
Não tá bom, não?
É certo.
Tá bom? Nice.
Pois muito prazer.
Bye.
Tem que fazer, quem é cocada não vai comer. Se quiser, você tem que fazer.
This is a really old school bar. It's like it's been here for like 200 years. And they do what we call cravinho, cachaça, the sugarcane liquor here, which is obviously used in the classic caipirinha cocktail. But this is like meat, just mixed with a little bit of honey and lime. A very Salvador thing to do. That is really strong. It like burns the throat. I mean, I don't know, these guys are drinking it so easy. I think they're on the second or third. O que tem no cravinho?
No cravinho? Tem cravo, tem álcool. É só cravo aí?
Tem cachaça ou não?
Tem.
Tem cachaça.
Pode beber, viu, que é bom.
É muito forte.
Sim.
É quase queimar.
Tem que beber devagar.
E vocês vão bebendo muito.
É o costume.
É muito álcool.
Deixa muito fogo. Vamos ao álcool.
E vocês cantam? Tocam. E vocês todos estão na banda?
Da Bahia.
Mas este bar é legal. É muitos anos este
Sim.
bar.
Esse era menino aqui, eu já era menor ainda. Ele menino já existia.
E vocês já estavam bebendo, não?
Na mamadeira. Era de onde? É verdade.
Well, these guys are accustomed to drinking this all the time, but it burns the throat.
fazer, tem que fazer. E a cocada não vai comer. Se quiser, cê tem que fazer, tem que fazer, tem que fazer.
The view from up here is beautiful, and you can see the Art Deco elevator, which was built in the early 1900s, I'd say around 1930. Basically connects the upper city to the lower city. So Pelourinho is here in the upper city, and really they had a prime view over the Bay of All Saints. And that's why Salvador was the capital for such a long time in Brazil, and why it was so important for the Portuguese. It was a trading port. It was, the prime port for the slave market, but also for trade between Brazil, Africa, and the Asian countries. When you come here, you feel that history, and it's so nice that the Afro-Brazilian culture is just so strong here, and it's really been built from the mixed cultures, that have come to pass through Salvador.
E a cocada não vai comer. Se quiser, cê tem que fazer, tem que fazer, tem que fazer. E a cocada não vai comer.
I'm here in my Airbnb in Brazil, and I'm currently working on my website. My website was designed using Squarespace, the sponsor of this video. Squarespace have this incredible website design technology which is called Fluid Engine, and they have so many beautiful website templates for you to choose from. The really great thing about them is that you can customize a template, so you can choose things such as the color of your font and the color of the layout of the website. You can also upload your own brand images. It's just a really great way to sort of customize your website to match your brand's aesthetic. One of the tools that I've really been enjoying using recently from Squarespace are the analytics reports. I have access to the back-end analytics, so I can see how my website is performing. I can see things like where the traffic is being generated from, how many website views I'm getting per month. So it's just a really great way for me to know whether I need to change something up in my strategy, or maybe change my website a little bit. So if you're a content creator like myself and you need a really nice professional website for your clients, or you have an e-shop and you want to sell something, or you just need a professional looking website for your business, I really recommend checking out Squarespace. Head to their website, you get a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your domain or website, head to squarespace.com/MeliniAngelica, and you'll get 10% off using my code MeliniAngelica. In contrast to much of the country's somewhat blander flavours, it pays to know that Bahian food is the queen of cuisine in Brazil. A visit to Salvador's central market will show you ingredients and recipes that have survived hundreds of years of the brutal slave trade and are proof of Africa's imprint on Brazilian cuisine. Really, really insane amounts of fresh produce on offer at this market here. There's just endless amounts of fruit and veg, and you can see a lot of the influences from West Africa. So coming here to the market is a perfect way to sort of understand that influence, in the Afro-Brazilian cuisine, especially in Salvador. Como se chama este? Oh, quiabo. Quiabo. In Inglaterra, se chama okra. Okra, sim. It's got a different name here, the okra, obviously. This is now the meat section, and the smell is pretty overwhelming. It really does hit you when you come into this section. You've got all sorts of parts of the meat here. You got the hoof. Como a gente come isso?
Ele não é assim, ele raspa ele todo, tira o cabelo, e aí depois corta, você bota no feijão, você faz mocotó,
feijão,
pirão.
É rico? Sim?
É.
Uau.
Muito forte, você comer aí, pode até passar mal, que é muito forte. Tanto feijão como mocotó, que é de pirão, sabe?
E é o animal? É o vaca?
É o
boi, yeah. She's saying you
muito bom, é.
botar o pele, né? You take the skin off, cut it, and then you use it in feijoada, mocotó, very traditional. Bahian dishes.
A língua, tudo lá na frente, tá vendo?
A
É
língua.
lá ali em cima, a língua. Carne salgada, tudo pra feijoada também, ó. Aqui é pé de boi também, ó.
Porcão.
Defumado.
Esto é o quê?
É, defumado. O pé do boi também defumado.
O pé do boi.
Defumado.
Defumado. E tudo isso você bota no na feijoada.
Na feijoada.
É. Então, é uma mista entre o porco e o carne, a carne de boi. Yeah. Wow.
Se chama feijoada completa.
Feijoada completa, quando temos as duas. Muito carne, não? No mercado, muito. Obrigada. Yeah, what you see throughout this whole market are bottles of this very dark-coloured liquid, almost like a dark red. It's dende oil, which is essentially palm oil, and that seed was brought from West Africa. So it's perhaps one of the biggest sort of condiments in the gastronomy of, Bahia, which really connects it to West Africa because of this history of slavery and a lot of the descendants, of African origin. So right here by the market, you have the port, and this is obviously historically a very important port. I mean, this is where the slaves were brought from Africa, and this market used to actually be where slaves were traded and sold. So, there is that kind of very sad and poignant fact about this market and about what it used to be. Obviously now it's completely different. Is there a chicken in there?
Quer dar uma olhada no bicho? Eu vendo.
Live animals. Okay. Whoa.
Bicho tô vendo.
Oh my gosh. There's goats everywhere. Então aqui
É bicho.
vem de animais vivos.
Vivo. Galinha.
A gente compra, faz tudo, cozinhar, para comer. Well, this guy's showing me around. So it's just loads and loads of chickens. I'm just in shock, honestly. It's all a bit too much, really. A gente compra quanto é uma?
Quer uma pra comer? Quer?
Mas quanto vende uma galinha?
100, 120, 80.
80.
70.
70.
Quer uma pequena?
Não, obrigada, mas eu não sei o que vou fazer com isso. He's telling me that they sell, like one of these chickens will be sold for about 70, 80 reais. I mean, that's like $12, $13. As hard as it is to see this, I've not seen something like this in a market before, but this is very much a culture here. I mean, this is what people do. They buy the animals, they eat them. It's a meat-eating country, so... Eu não estou muito acostumada no cheio, muito
Mas
forte.
com o tempo você vai se acostumar.
É meio triste. Mas a gente come carne aqui, né? This is caranguejo, this is a crab. Quando o pescador vai sair para isso? À tarde? Pescar?
Ele sai pela manhã.
Pela manhã?
Pela tarde.
E volta pela tarde. Mas fica longe no mar ou mais no... Distante. É sair no barco? Ah... Yeah, there's a lot of this. He's telling me that this is used to make the petisca, which is like deep fry. They make it into a paste, a crab, and then they deep fry it with batter. Obrigada, muito obrigada. Wow, so now the fish section is unbelievable. Stinky, so much fresh fish. And of course, one of the pillars of Bahian gastronomy and cuisine is fish because, Salvador and Bahia is coastal. So amazing to see this. I'm hoping to try one of the typical dishes here in the market, the moqueca, which is a fish stew. Can't imagine anywhere better to have it than a market where everything is fresh. Obrigada. This is moqueca, one of the iconic dishes in Salvador and in Bahia. And it's basically a fish stew. It's found in Angola, and obviously that makes sense because a lot of the slaves that came over here were from Angola. And then, it's a very Afro-Brazilian dish. It looks delicious and obviously served with some feijão and some rice. That's stunning. So nice, such a nice bit of tender fish, and yeah, like the stew it's in, it's just delicious. And then this is a feijão. It's so delicious and it's so nice and salty because it's simmered in a stew which has pork in it, so you've got that kind of porky taste, that smokiness from the pork. One of the places that I always like to come to when I travel are markets, because I feel like these are the places where you can really truly understand the culture of a place. I mean, as messy and smelly and stinky and crazy as markets can be, and this one is no exception, this is really where the culture is laid bare for you to see. So I'm so glad I came to this one in Salvador.
Dessa fantasia foi sentimento e a fotografia, tudo que ficou foi uma.
No visit to a beach in Brazil would be complete without a few caipirinhas. This iconic beach cocktail usually starts off with fresh lime, a few generous spoons of sugar, plenty of ice, and the star ingredient, cachaça, the distilled sugarcane liquor. The addition of pineapple is what makes this a true Bahian caipirinha. Shake it all together and you've got yourself one of the world's tastiest beach cocktails. Caipirinha is the perfect drink at the beach. But Salvador is so tropical, endless beaches, gorgeous beaches.
Depois da avalanche, tudo que restou.
There is nothing better than the melted cheese sticks that they sell here on the beach in Salvador. And just watch how he makes it. Like, it's such a makeshift little grill that he's got going on, and he just barbecues the cheese over it, starts to melt. Oof, love it.
Tudo que ficou foi uma poesia.
Coming to the beach in Salvador is an altogether more relaxed affair, I would say. People here, they're just super chilled, super relaxed. They let it all hang out. Really doesn't matter what body size you are. No one really cares here in Salvador. It's very different in that sense to Rio. There's no one here, flexing their muscles or showing off. It's just anyone can join in, really. At acarajé stalls all over Salvador, you will meet the mothers of Afro-Brazilian cuisine, the celebrated black women of the north, known as baianas. The outfits go back to the times of slavery, when Afro-Brazilian women were able to acquire economic autonomy by selling their food on the streets. Acarajé is the quintessential street food sold all over Bahia, a paste of black-eyed peas seasoned with ground-dried shrimp and onion, squished up into a palm-sized ball and dropped into boiling hot chili-infused dende oil. Deep fried until golden and crispy and topped with a shrimp curry paste, tomato salad and fried shrimp. That's really tasty. When millions of Africans were forcibly taken to Brazil, their traditions, music, religion, and food all came with them. But during the days of slavery, they had to be clever enough to disguise such activities. The religious rituals and commemorative dances performed in their homeland were the first steps that would culminate in capoeira, a type of martial art dance and a cultural and artistic expression of resistance, resilience, and celebration within Brazilian culture. Salvador's dark history has given rise to a unique axé, or energy, and approach to life. Locals here have a saying, "Se empresa olha para o céu, fala com Deus, você tá na Bahia." I feel that here. There's a relaxed and feel-good atmosphere that's unique to this region. The people are warm and friendly. They live in a tropical paradise of year-round humid days and postcard-perfect beaches. There's no sense of time here, really, just a raw picture of what many of us today probably agree humanity is lacking. Community, family, love, compassion, it's all here in Salvador da Bahia.